I have here in front of me a newspaper from the 28th of March, 2018. So this is exactly, I would say, 4 days prior to me even taking office as a public servant. The reason why I bring this up, Madam Chair, is in the headline on one of the front pages has new engines for GB still in the pipeline. And when you go into the article, based on the words of the CEO and the COO, the management team, we have some engines that are from Noah's time, Chittick said, alluding to how aged some of the engines are. Then when you go into the details, he said that new engines engine 21 will be probably acquired in 2019 or 20. A new engine is estimated to cost about 30 million guilders. The company also plans to purchase the use of liquid natural gas engines, which is more economical, environmentally friendly. GB acquired the last engine generator 20 in 2016, which will be put into operation in 2016 December and has the output of 11.3 megawatts and is capable of running on LNG. Madam Chair, through you to the Prime Minister, the reason I bring these things up is because a lot of discussion was put towards, the last Minister of Vrummy blocking engine purchases and all these type of things. But I became the Minister of Vrummy in 2020. So there's a whole 2 years later. So I'm saying all this to say, Madam Chair, I would like to sincerely thank the Prime Minister for finally coming out with the truth regarding who blocked the generators being purchased. Why? Because it's clear based on the response that the supervisory board played a role in that and not the Council of Ministers, because right now the Prime Minister as shareholder representative cannot block any purchase of GB generators because he advised and strongly suggests based on the shareholder and also based on corporate governance rules. Madam Chair, I would also like to go on to the point that right now, it was also stated based on the response that because of lack of continuity by the then incoming management board, the plans of the former management board, which consisted of the last official 3 O's, which consisted of the current Minister of VSR, because they weren't able to execute because they had to leave. But you've been in office for 5 months now, through you, Madam Chair, and I think that 5 months is enough time that if you had a plan that was rock solid, to just pick up and move forward. I'm saying all that to say that just based on what my colleague mentioned before me, it's all of our issues right now. And if you look at my presentation, the information that I've been bringing across over the last couple of months, it's a sense of inclusion and a sense of a unified front is needed in order for us to reach to a solution.
Through you to the Prime Minister, I'm not very satisfied with that answer. And Peter Weaver kind of read my mind. I guess thinking the same thing I thought, which is, how are you in a financial deficit and in financial issues and absorbing costs of something that the costs have not yet stopped? Because it's not just about the fuel, there's other costs involved with these container generator solutions. There's the ones that are coming in. I assume land has to be found to place them. The bases have to be constructed. All of that had to be done for these container generators also. So I think my question would be, what's the current financial position of GB and the current debt position? And if that has to be provided to us in writing under confidentiality rules, that's perfectly fine. Because I'll tell you why, to go further than what MP Weaver even mentioned, we had the former CEO of Telem in here in 2022 confidently telling us that their financial position was favorable, that it was strong, that fiber to the home sales were up, their EBITDA was no cause for concern. All of that was told to us. And then a year later, we had to read about the emergency restructuring that was done, that included layoffs and redundancies. We talk about the truth, but you can't get that if people are, at the end of the day, more concerned with position or pocketbook than they are with the kind of blunt honesty that we do need to move things forward. The Prime Minister also mentioned, and you can correct me if I'm wrong through you, Madam Chair, that there's been no real type of audits performed at GB. So how do you even know the reality of your financial position? Math was not my strong point, but I did work in the finance industry. So I know that these are bits of information that you need to have to actually be able to make sound business decisions. So I would really like to know, and again, if it has to be provided under confidentiality rules, that would be fine, but the current financial position and the debt position of GB. because I find it very hard to believe. And I think, we many of us in here maybe have gone to business school, but in my courses, they said that you cannot be in a deficit and absorbing costs, especially the type of costs associated with not one, but actually two phases of a solution to this problem.
As we definitely need motions to be carried out, because my fellow MPs are saying it, the truth, the truth. Some things are not adding up. Business 101. I will repeat it again. If you are in a financial constraint, it's no way you can absorb the cost. That's what they're saying. Everyone here agrees with this. It's logic. But what we are doing, we are trying to appease the public through you, Madam Chair, and not saying where the cost would really go. As my good fellow MP always screams out in front of me, election is over. So let us tell the people the truth. We shed a shining light. We think that the problem is solved. And today what we have. And we see the problem growing because it's moving from businesses to schools, to police stations, to airports, affecting our tourism product, affecting layovers. And some people, many people, hundreds, were probably misconnecting flights. It is now a national crisis. Indeed, agreed. As stated in Article 2022 by my fellow MP, De Weaver, GB on the verge of creating a national crisis. Well, it's here. It's here. Give us the straight answers. Give us the straight facts. You are now in charge. Give us your plan, your vision. I asked the question specifically, what is GB's vision and what is the government's vision within the next 4 years? Given the benefit of the doubt, I said within the next 4 years. I have not received the government's vision up to now. That is what I need to hear. When it speaks of 7 Cs, when I was the Minister of VSR, we made big strides in giving GB the most profitable negotiation with 7 Cs, saving upwards of $400,000 a year. The discussion was had once GB is able to see the benefits of this savings, let us bring relief to the people. What is the timeline that we can start to give relief to the people based on the newly negotiated agreement with 7 Cs saving GB upwards of $400,000 a year? What is the update with GEBE and the friend side based on the connections that needed to be done, that could be done so GB can bring in extra revenues for their coffers? What is the update with this? Madam Chair, I think the people of St. Martin want basic, raw, layman's terms, facts. I have here a bill sent to me, just sent to me by a senior couple. The utility bill is $273.25. The fuel clause of this bill is $468, more than the bill itself, its consumption. The fuel clause is a problem, it's an issue, it's plaguing the country at this point. There are inaccurate bills that we are receiving. We are still recovering from the hack. We see engines, 16 and the other one where they have crankshaft issues. I remember the very first meeting I asked in clarification when a timeline was given through you, Madam Chair, of the crankshaft being repaired. That was spoken as if it will be 100% possibility that this crankshaft will be repaired. Today we see we still have these issues.
But from many constituents within our island, those who have the complaints about the billing issues have gone to GEBE and have also showed their bills with the number calibrated on the meters and have said, maybe if I can be corrected over here through you, Madam Chair, are the meters calibration refreshed every time we lose electricity and get back electricity? This this being said, then is the reading then not accurate at the end of the month based on how much actually has been consumed? Because again, to me, that does not make sense. That a half of the month there's no electricity, and then the bills are almost doubled. So just to come back to it, how can our constituents and population of St. Martin come very much more clear with the customer service department of GEBE to get valid answers on how to solve this issue? Because I'm being told that there is no clarity on that. And furthermore, another issue that I've been told, many businesses who are paying over $30,000, $40,000 a month in bills, they can't pay that in cash. They're going to pay it via a bank transfer. But even those amounts are not reflecting properly on their accounts. So the checks and balances are off. So if I could know that as well through you, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Currently actually investigating a number of complaints received regarding ongoing construction on Simpson Bay Beach in the area of the airport. Over the weekend, I myself personally visited the site. Unfortunately, no work was ongoing at the time. The inspectorate department has also, during the last week, visited, but unfortunately was unable to come at a time when persons were actually on site. Important to note is that the company does have a building permit. The building permit is for temporary structure, which involves containers, and this permit was signed on May 2nd of this year. Noting, of course, that we will be investigating because the allowance on beaches is temporary structures. This temporary structure can, of course, include a concrete platform in which to bolt containers down. But of course, in initial observations, it seems as though the approval was done for something which is also a bit more than a temporary structure. So we are currently reviewing what was approved by the previous administration. Regarding, of course, the ongoing cleanup, I won't go too much into it because we've discussed it this morning in a press release, but also to just a kind reminder to everyone, while the ministry, of course, and government is responsible legally for the maintenance of good environment, it does take two to tango. We cannot continue illegally dumping in and around the ring road. We cannot continue to dump toilets and washing machines in the garbage bins. Dumping at the dump is currently free. It takes the time to just drive to the dump and properly dispose of your waste there. As I've indicated 2 weeks ago in press briefing, we are currently working on a complete revamping of the waste ordinance, the enforcement of the current one, of course, as well as the realization of a tipping fee. The cost associated with dumping of garbage is not sustainable, and government has to make a more sustainable approach, to which we're working on to dealing with our waste problems. An update from 2 weeks ago as well, where I indicated that the government's equipment is down. In the past 2 weeks, we've managed to secure a third party who at the time himself had damaged equipment. His equipment is currently the one compacting and ensuring that the material brought to the dump can be processed and handled properly. Finally, not finally actually, before I start, remember also too that the resurfacing project will commence the first week of October. It's quite detailed in today's press release what that resurfacing will include, and please pay attention because what we will be doing is having a very comprehensive plan as to how that will take place. Certain elements, of course, will be done to mitigate all impact towards the economy, particularly the cruise tourism and any tourist visiting, as well as the regular day-to-day operations of St. Martiners here. And now finally, of course, my final comment. On Saturday, the 21st of September, as Minister of Rami, I am very proud to announce that the International Coastal Cleanup, an annual event, will be taking place from 7 a.m. to 8:30 at Little Bay Beach and Pond. I myself will be unable to attend. I'll be off island on business, but I do encourage everyone to come out. And please realize that we cannot continue to complain about the environment if you don't take an active part in protecting it.
Previously, Vromi was in charge, I guess the shareholder representative was the point person for GB. In government now, in the current Council of Ministers, in your current structure, can you explain what is Vromi's responsibilities towards GB, and more general, how does who's the point person for GB, airport, harbor, post office? Tell him. It seems that most of them have fallen under the Prime Minister now. So can you explain the oversight function? Who's the point person for the different entities?
Indeed. Thank you, Emil. Let me give a little brief history. Back in 2013, the then Council of Ministers issued a national decree, which sort of, for lack of a better word, divides up the different agencies and companies that belong to or responsibility of government. Within that decree, that was done, and then in 2015, I believe, a discussion was had in terms of centralizing government-owned companies, agencies, to which then a sort of a new draft was made, which would kind of put the Council of Ministers as a shareholder rep of all government-owned companies, with the focal minister in charge of that sort of agenda or company's responsibility. I think what has happened in the last couple of months is that, having come in as a Council of Ministers collectively in May, there's been a number of, let's call them, fires that have kind of centralized a lot of the need to have the centralization of what is said about government companies to one person. The discussion, of course, is usually taken, and decisions are taken in calm, with one sort of focal point being the Prime Minister currently, who sort of goes out publicly discussing what's happening. I think in that way you kind of mitigate any kind of mixed messaging, particularly with the companies in the crisis mode. But I think what has to happen going forward, when we sort of stabilize again, is that we revisit basically which minister actually plays the more key role in terms of the government-owned companies to which the law establishes who has that responsibility. One critical thing, of course, is that it does work in the sense of sort of key decision-making on strategy is taken by COM. What needs to go back to happening is that regular discussions between the line ministry and the responsible company has to be reestablished and strengthened. Because I think what's you kind of see now is that a lot of decisions are kind of announced and it might not necessarily be fully in discussion with what the ministry who is charged with it kind of has in their planning. So I think definitely what has to happen is a revamping of the communication lines between the respective ministers and the company, with, of course, respecting the Council of Ministers' role in terms of strategic decision making.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah, your social health insurances.
It's hurricane season. Are you prepared? Here are a few tips to remember to help keep you and your family safe. If you're not in an area that is advised to evacuate and you decide to stay in your home, plan for adequate supplies in case you lose power and water for several days and you're not able to leave due to flooding or blocked roads. This hurricane season, make a family emergency communication plan. This public service announcement was brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
Is there an increase in cost or decrease? Legal advice must have been given. Did it need to go on bid? The location has been approved and selected and signed off by the previous Minister of Tiat and Vromi. And based on the FedEx rules, which is the yellow book, there is no change to the contract. So we mainly make sure abide by the rules of the FIDIC. What are the, so in summary, no, there's no changes to the amount. The amount it is budget neutral. What are the plans for the minister to increase our tourism product in regards to training or to allow more pleasant ways of approaching our tourists and doing business in St. Martin? As the Minister of TIAT, I do believe that all industries on the island should have standards and set when it comes to a customer experience, whether it's residents or visitors alike. Nonetheless, the hospitality industry, particularly hotels and restaurants, has required trainings and that their staff must attend and pass when employed. The ministry is currently working on an overall training program for the industry, which will consist of customer service, history and culture, first aid, CPR, and communication and etiquette. That's exactly what the training will entail, and a pilot training program is currently being developed and will focus on the public transportation sector as well. The previous minister started with the harbor on cruise conversion. What is the plan, and has the minister been updated on this? The topic and proposals made by the previous entities related to cruise conversions have not been discussed with me as yet. However, those discussions will happen fairly soon. What is the beautification plan regarding trees, etc.? To enhance the visitor experience and to drive economical growth, we are developing a master plan for the economic and aesthetic enhancement of Phillipsburg. This plan includes initiatives to beautify the area and improve visitors' experience and promote local businesses. Additionally, we introduced the Swaliga Route initiative aimed to identify key locations along popular tourist routes where local art can be displayed. That's something we're working on. It's in the process. Further, we plan to clean and restore national monuments in a phased approach, preserving our historical heritage. A fine was given to the gas station, in regards to the price changes not being into effect that they received on the publication of late. Now, I know this has nothing to do with the airport and the harbor, but I will still answer that question for public consumption. The Department of ETT is responsible for ensuring that the entity that requests said price change is informed once a decision is made. Said entity then relays the approved price changes by way of signed publication via email to their retailers. Since the incident, we have asked all wholesalers to ensure that their retailers' information be provided so that the Department of ETT, which we did receive, to avoid later delays so that we can send emails directly to them when we announce an increase or a decrease. What is the status in regards to the court case based on the PDP and Kimsha Strip? Government of St. Martin received a favorable judgment from the Court of Appeals, to which PDP appealed it before the Supreme Court in the Netherlands. So we're awaiting the judgment of the Supreme Court. Container fees raised in 2014 and throughput fees was increased by 4 cents. You're saying the question is 4%, but 4 cents, if I may just clarify that question. Was it done for the Causeway Bridge? This increase was made to make the investment and particularly cover the associated annual costs. This can be further explained through the visual request by MP Jacobs. I'm going to send a breakdown to Parliament after this meeting, as promised. You mentioned the country selling St. Martin more for tours. Are we aware of the insurance being requested by the cruise industry to sell tours? Does the government have plans to subsidize or stand guarantor for small businesses that want to get in on the action of this type of business? It is not out of the ordinary for the cruise industry to require tour operators to have specific insurance coverage to protect passengers. While we are aware of the importance of this insurance, the budget 2024 does not include any provisioning for providing subsidies to cover or aid in covering said costs. However, as we work towards growing the sector, we will evaluate the feasibility of implementing measures to assist small businesses in meeting the insurance required and other challenges associated with offering tours to the cruise passengers.
SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to SXV.SX and sign up now.
SXV, yeah, your social health insurances.
As we bring the end to this parliament term, actually, to a close, we reflect on the challenges that we face and the milestones that we have achieved. And we had a bit of a, let's say, some political turmoil going back and forth, but through it all, Parliament has strived to make the best decisions in the best interest of the people, with resilience and unity guiding us. While the road ahead remains filled with challenges, we take pride in the progress made so far, not just in the last term, but I also believe the term before that. Our focus should be on our economy. On the meeting we had yesterday, GB, I believe the significance of how GB will impact us going forward is a little bit underestimated. Strengthening of our healthcare system, we had a meeting about that also this week. So I believe we had the most important meetings already this week. Also our government-owned companies, and ensuring the welfare of our citizens has laid the groundwork for a strong St. Martin. The dedication of each member of Parliament in serving the needs of our communities has been a testament to our collective responsibility, and that will be so going forward. As we prepare for the next chapter in our nation's governance, let us carry forward the lessons learned and remain committed to the values of service, integrity, and progress. Together, I hope we can continue to work for a brighter future for St. Martin. The call from a few MPs have been to unite and work together and support each other, and that's something that I will do. I believe it's also something that was not necessarily offered to us when we were in government, but we will not be the same opposition that was there before. Again, we will hold the Parliament accountable. We will bring solutions. And we will, of course, support when necessary. As mentioned before also, we do come with at least 3 ministers in the past that have knowledge of the last 4.5 years. We hope that ideas and solutions and projects that we brought forward would not be stopped, but actually be pushed forward. And I look forward to continue to support those.
It certainly feels, at least to my recollection, like the shortest parliamentary term in our history, both pre and post 10-10-10. But of course, I'll have to check with our political historians such as yourself to confirm if my assumption is correct. I said almost everything I had to say in the public meeting where we closed the parliamentary year, Madam Chair Lady. So I'll simply use my time to wish those departing our ranks much grace and to wish them well. Firstly, to MP Emmanuel, though he's not here, though we did not necessarily see eye to eye politically on many things, I do hold respect for those instances where your points did hit, as they should, and I wish you much success in whatever endeavor you undertake. To MP Maingret, I wish you greater discernment and wisdom when choosing those you confide in and receive advice from, because it is one thing our particular arena unfortunately proves time and time again. It is that genuine, honest camaraderie is difficult to come by, and you should look at everybody twice before moving forward with them. To MP Marlin, I'm happy that you made it, because I was going to wish you a speedy recovery. But still, speedy recovery, but I appreciate you being here, and I also appreciate you handling the stake debt that you inherited from your predecessor in the MP Marlin Parliament seat. Stake, yes. Stake. To MP Arundel, I did not get to know you very well, but I also wish you much success in whatever it is you choose to do. And to MP Jacobs, as a woman in any male-dominated area, it is always difficult to strike that balance between what some may call the parental instincts of leadership and the necessity to separate what is right from what is popular. Though we may not have agreed always on the political front, I made it a point, as a woman member of parliament and a woman in this arena, to support you on those points where we did agree, even if it was not always in front of you, and even to those who would detract from your leadership for reasons that had nothing to do with politics and everything to do with the personal.
I had something written for the media, but I'll just read it out here. As I conclude my first and short-lived term as a member of parliament, I would like to extend my sincerest gratitude to the voters of St. Martin for entrusting me with the privilege of serving the people from February until today, August 19, 2024, but September 19th, 2024. Your support has been a driving force in my work as an MP, which I have taken seriously from day one. But I also remain humbled by the opportunity to represent you all of St. Martin. My thanks goes out as well to the board and leadership of the National Alliance for granting me the opportunity to be part of this historical journey that ended prematurely following the recent snap elections in August. I appreciate my fellow candidates who campaigned tirelessly, securing votes that contributed to my election, especially since my own tally of 406 votes in January would not have been sufficient to win my seat outright. As I step away from my role and responsibilities as a member of parliament, this is not a goodbye. I want to assure the people of St. Martin that I intend to return ready and able and willing to continue serving as your MP in the interim. In the interim, I will continue to assess where we went wrong as a political party, losing over 2,000 votes and 3 seats in 2 elections. I intend to remain active as your voice across different media platforms, advocating for issues that matter most to our people. I take this time to reflect on the challenges we face today, particularly in matters such as the state of affairs at GB.
I entered this political arena as Nadia and Tony's daughter, a simple Kobe girl who grew up in a 2-room house, who attended the Leonard Connor School, a public school, and then the Milton Peters College, and went on to study in the Netherlands, and finally settling to finalize my studies at the University of the Virgin Islands, right here in the Caribbean. I am also, and have always been, well, always, for the most part, been a single mother of 2 children now grown and following their own paths, and the grandmother of a very bright 2-year-old. My humble beginnings, Madam Chair, being surrounded by authentic people willing to tell it like it is, a mother determined to see her children achieve more than her 6th grade education, a mother who believed that education was the key to success and ensured that we were exposed to positive activities, coupled with my drive and work ethic to be the best that I could be for my family, led me to being in a position of trust, enabling me to encourage and empower all of us to realize the power within each of us to make a difference in the forward movement and growth of sweet St. Martin. Like I told the 7-year-olds in Miss James' class at Mac Johnny Gum's campus this morning, readers are leaders, and you, those little 7-year-olds, can make a difference with the smallest act of kindness and or sharing, even as a child. It is my dedication to educating the whole child that motivated me to seek political office for the first time back in 2010, after serving for 20 years in education, 16 in the classroom and 4 in management. As Minister of ECYS in 2012-13, elected for the first time in 2014, growing from some 392 votes in 2010 to 972 in 2014, I got the opportunity to also serve as Member of Parliament for the first time, 10 years ago. I I did so until 2015, when I went back to be the Minister of ECYS after a change in government, until the devastation of Hurricane Irma in 2017 saw another fall of government and sent me back to Parliament after the elections of 2018.
In the past 6 years, it has been and it is an honor and a privilege to serve this beloved nation. I also want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to my colleagues, those that are staying and also those that are leaving, with whom I've had a pleasure of working with for a long and a short period of time. Together we have accomplished a lot, yet there is still much more to be accomplished together. Our country needs all of us, and we need to be committed and continue to work tirelessly to move our country forward together. As we enter this new parliamentary term, as we enter this new parliamentary year a few days ago, I look forward to many great things we can achieve together for our beloved country, from strengthening our economy and creating jobs improvement, and also improving our healthcare, ensuring better access to education, prioritizing climate action to create a sustainable future. Together, we can continue to build a strong nation, more resilient nation for all. I would like to also thank Ms. Henrietta Doran-York, Mr. William V. Marlin, Mr. Leonard Priest, to my outgoing colleague, Cloyd Marlin, and all the other stakeholders, and last but not least, the people of St. Martin, who supported in one way or another for me to be here today as I stand in front of you. As I assume the role of deputy leader, or leader then, because I am the deputy leader of the National Alliance with the resignation of my colleague, MP Silveria Jacobs, I want to express my heartfelt appreciation for allowing me and giving me the opportunity to run on this platform. I know that it has not been an easy road over the last couple of years. It was the hurricane and then the COVID, but say one, say two, you have led us through it. We work together as a team, and for that I am forever grateful. A lot of lessons learned. I will definitely take it forward, and I know for sure that you're just a phone call away. To my colleague, MP Cloyd Marlin, I know the same. With that being said, Madam Chair, I would like to say, on behalf of the National Alliance family, on behalf of the people of St. Martin that we serve, I would like to thank MP Jacobs for her service and present.